like, don't wake a sleeping baby, but sometimes you need to.
Yeah.
I will caution you though. I did that with my 3-year-old, and to this day, she will wake me up abruptly every single morning. Almost like payback. Out. It's time to be up. Like, pause.
You're listening to Growing in Motherhood, the podcast that inspires mamas to grow, where we talk about the real stuff, not just the good stuff.
Welcome, ladies. It is our debut episode for our second season. Woo, woo. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to not only be back with each of you, but we are back virtually, and that is pretty dope because our first season was just audio, and now we are here live, and so I'm really excited to dive in, continue the momentum that we started. And, we are just keeping it real. We're not just talking about the good stuff. We're talking about the real stuff. So for our listeners, if you are new, thanks for joining. We are 4 first cousins and with 10 kids in between us. So needless to say, we have our hands full and we are in this thing called motherhood, right?
So in the trenches.
For real. So today we're going to be talking about mommy secrets. Like, what are those tips and tricks that allow us to just create more balance and just like get further on our list of like never ending things to get done? I know, like, as a freshman to this crew, like my kids are just under a year old. They're still very much new to me, and I'm still like, okay, well, what can I do better, or what can I do faster, or what may I not need to do at all, right? So I'm curious to see, like, what do y'all do in your day-to-day, and what, can I do differently moving forward, and maybe it's just something I haven't even thought of that would be just super insightful. And then, of course, for our listeners as well, I'm going to first start with naps, because I'm clear in the beginning, right? With infants, they sleep a lot more. And then as your kids get older, they'll eventually drop off. But I'm definitely in this space where we need naps to survive. Okay. We need them. All right. My kids may not want them as much as I want them for them, but definitely need naps. So I'm going to ask Joia, like, first, for context, can you remind us of your children's ages? And then what did you find just like reduce the drama around nap times, and how were you able to like keep them down for longer naps? Like, were there any just like tips or tricks that you found to be super helpful?
Okay, for sure. So I have a daughter that is 3 and my son is 18 months. And so tips and tricks. I will start with, so when babies are in the womb, everything is dark, right? And then they come out and they may not have obviously had their circadian sleep rhythms adjusted yet. So doing the blackout curtains will change your life. Like, have them sleep longer, better. My daughter was taking 2-hour naps, and has stayed with them, and now she is 3, right? So the blackout curtains for sure. Having a schedule, as annoying as it may be at times and inconvenient, like the more they do it, they expect it and long for it. And my son, like, you would just sit him in the crib and just say, okay, nap time. And he would be like, okay, like no fuss. And then white noise, that has been a lifesaver, even for my 3-year-old now, like white noise, because if not, they're listening to whatever you're doing outside the door. Okay. They're trying to hear footsteps, the dishwasher, like anything, to stay awake. So those are my tips. That's what's worked for me.
Awesome. So for the blackout curtains, you're just saying, like, no matter the time of day, you're drawing them, right? So you're creating a pitch black room, even if it's 2 p.m.
Even if it's 3 p.m. And obviously traveling and whatnot, there have been times where I haven't had obviously blackout curtains, and they've adjusted quite fine. Yeah. So I haven't had any issues with that, transitioning into not having them but yeah.
I will say this, Joia, to that point of traveling. So if they adjust, great, that's fine. But for people who may want to continue the blackout curtain process while traveling, some stores actually do sell, I want to say it's Pottery Barn Kids and Creighton Kids. They actually do sell travel blackout curtains that you can roll with, and you could put them up wherever you are. So you won't have to, have that issue of, okay, it's daylight and now they're popping up. So.
Okay. And look, sis, I have even used black trash bags before.
Hey,
okay.
Whatever it takes to be resourceful.
I just want to be real. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We were moving. I didn't have them. I was like, we gonna have them today.
Glad you found a way to make it work. That's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely.
One thing I will say in terms of naps, and this is kind of like naps overlapping with like bedtime, is I will wake my children up if they are napping after a certain time. And that is to ensure that we're able to keep our schedule, because if they sleep longer than, right now it's 4 p.m. If they sleep any longer than 4 p.m., then they're not going to go down for their bedtime at 6:37, right? Because they're going to be like, I just had this massive long nap. So I know we're talking exclusively about naps, but when it comes like into your bedtime routine, that's something that I've found to be helpful. I'm not waiting for you to wake up. I'm like, okay, it's 4:00. Maybe I'll wait till 4:05. But after that, like, we're up now, right? Like, we're up, we're awake. We're going to have free play right now because I can't afford for you to sleep any longer because you will not be tired in time. So that's definitely my little
That's a great tip.
I would add in, because I know everyone's like, don't wake a sleeping baby, but sometimes you need to.
Yeah.
I will caution you though. I did that with my 3-year-old, and to this day, she will wake me up abruptly every single morning. Almost like payback. Out. It's time to be up. Like, pause. So just caution. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So the other thing that is present with all children is the transition from diapers to the big boy and girl potty, right? And so I'm clear that's a transition, that's a journey. And so that needs to happen sooner than later because changing diapers gets old real quick. But Jerren, you have probably the most experience in this, right? Naturally, you have more kids than all of us. And I'm curious, what have you found to be helpful? You're managing different personalities and it's not just a one size fits all. So what have you found to be helpful? And then also, Erinn, I'm curious because your oldest is a boy, right? So does that matter? Does that change the game? Anatomy is different, so I'm just curious what your experiences have been.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to holler at Erinn because I've had, so my oldest 3 are girls and my youngest is a boy. He is 16, 17 months. So Erinn, I'll be calling on you soon. Like, what do we do with these boy parts?
I need to know now.
I don't know about that world. But what I have found consistently across all of my kids are 2 things. One, I try not to pressure them because as soon as I pressure them, it's almost like they sense my urgency for them to be potty trained and they're not having it.
So true.
So they put up a fuss, they start stalling. They might even have more accidents. It's crazy. So I try not to pressure them. In fact, my 3-year-old, I'm in a place right now where I'm kind of frustrated because she knows how to use the potty on her own. But if she's having fun or they're watching a really cool TV show, she doesn't want to go. So she'll just pee in her pull-up. And if we put on panties, she'll just pee in her panties and come back and tell me, well, I peed over there. Can you clean up my pee? It's like, that's not how this is supposed to work.
Like,
yes.
I know. But that said, two things. So not pushing them. That's one of the things. And the other thing is songs. So we create songs for everything. Whether it's nap time or bedtime or potty time. So if you pee pee on the potty, if you poo poo on the potty, Joia, I think you know some of our songs, right? Like we have songs around those things to celebrate, and we get real hype and we clap and we dance. And so I'm pretty sure there'll be adults of their own and still singing the potty song. So
I pee on the
Pass it on
potty.
to the
I
next
pee
generation.
on the potty.
Yeah.
I like that.
What about you, Erinn? What wisdom do you have, Erinn?
Man, so as you were talking, I was like, this sounds like deja vu, like exactly what you said, Jerren. And that goes for, I have only potty trained fully my son at this point. So my daughter's 22 months. So we've, done a little bit of dabbling here and there. She sees her brother getting on the potty and she wants to sit on the potty. So I try to let her sit on the potty and at least get familiar with it. So she is raring to go. She's like, I want a potty. I want a potty. Can I potty? She'll see her big girl panties that I got her training panties. And she'll be like, can I wear these today? Can I wear these today? So I'm like, let's ride this wave, because she wants to do it clearly. And she is at a point that she has been at a point for, I don't know, like 6 months or more, where she was like, I poo-pooed. I need a new diaper. I pee-peed. So I'm like, okay, she knows. So just letting her get familiar and letting her have that time to sit and to just become familiar with being on the potty. So that's kind of what we're doing with her right now. Not any serious potty training yet. With my son, though, everything you just said about your girls, as far as pressuring, as far as, they sense your urgency. And for me, something I have to work on and pray through is just God giving me more patience. Y'all probably heard me say in the first season, I am not a patient person, though I thought I was. I was dreadfully wrong. But that comes out in potty training. And the thing is, your children sense all of that. Regardless if you say it or not, they sense it. My son actually said to me and my husband one night, and this broke my heart, as we were putting him down for bed one night, he was just thinking, and he was like, Mommy and Daddy are proud of me when I use the potty. And I was just like, it's like a dagger in my heart, because I don't want him to feel like we are only proud of him when he uses the potty and he doesn't have accidents, but they sense that. So that to me was like a light bulb, like, oh, girl, you got to switch it up. You have to let him know that you're proud of him all the time. You have to encourage him, and you have to really do this positive reinforcement. So not the negative, because I think that I was just being impatient. I was like, why aren't you getting this? Like, come on, it's just pull your pants down, sit on the potty. It's simple, but it's not. Like, it's not simple for them. But we can make it so much easier for them by being that positive reinforcement and checking our own selves, checking your attitude, check, what it is that you're giving off to them. And because otherwise, yes, Jerren, exactly what you said. Like, they will push back. They'll sense your impatience and they'll just be like, no, we're not doing this.
Not having it, yeah.
And it just becomes, like you said, even like the more accidents. When I started to see that happen, same with my son, and I'm like, wow, I need to back off and I need to calm down, because it actually can adversely affect them. So everything you already said is true. So for my son, just being patient, giving him the time that he needs. Realize that your child is not going to be like anyone else. So don't try to compare them to other children. Don't try to compare them to their siblings and say, well, hey, your brother or your sister was potty trained by this age. You should be. No, they shouldn't be. They are on their own schedule. They are their own person. So allow them that, and be there to support them and encourage them on their journey, however long it may take. So I think that's all I got. For boys specifically, though, because you asked about that. So this is something that I have heard, and I tried a couple of times, and I feel like it only took a couple of times, the whole Cheerios in the potty thing. So you throw some Cheerios or some cereal in the potty and you let them aim.
Wow.
And my son thought that was the greatest thing. And so we did that game for a few times. And then, he kind of really got to where he had good aim after a few times of doing it. So I stopped doing it. But the trick is, he can't wait until the last minute to go. Otherwise, it's pee everywhere. So he can't control it. It's just like it comes out. So I tell him, like, you have to go when mommy and daddy tell you it's time before you feel like you have to go, so that when you get there, like, you can control the situation. So, and having daddy also step in and kind of mirror that for him and show him, I think, is a big thing as well. So daddy is not always able to be there when we're doing the potty. So, I just have to help him and literally show him, like, hey, this is what you do.
Yeah.
So
get it in
that's
there.
all I got. Right.
So you mentioned Cheerios like as a tool. Does anyone do like incentives? Like did kids get like jelly beans or anything?
Yes.
Like,
yes. Candy,
Stickers.
anything. Yes.
I will say this for me. So with my son, with Justice, and again, every child is different. Incentives would work, but like for a hot minute. So he would get incentivized and he'd be like, oh, okay, I have a treat coming, or I have something coming, let me go. But then after a while, he was just like, I'm not with this anymore. Like, I don't care what you're trying to give me. I'm not doing this. So I think it depends on the child. Yeah. We did potty training charts as well, put his little stickers up, his little Elmo stickers, since he had his Elmo training pants. And that works for a while. I think for some children, it just takes time. I tried the 3-day method with incentives, and it seemed like, it took a little bit, but it still took him, much more time than that. So, but for some, incentives may work. If it worked for your girls, Jerren, right?
Yes, they still get treats. They still, matter of fact, with my 3-year-old specific, my second child, she is excellent. Even to this day, no, she doesn't pee the bed. She doesn't have accidents. She's just been great. My 3-year-old still gets treats though. And when I do reward her, she does use the potty more consistently on her own. So we have longer dry stretches. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm not near that phase yet, but super excited. I have all 3 of you to call on as I get closer, and I know that is hearing from you a time where you need to be patient, fully engaged, fully in tune with the kids. So thank you for those tips and tricks. So one of the other things I wanted us to talk through is meal planning. I've recently done is having groceries delivered. Now, I hate going to the grocery store. Like, I do it because it's a necessity, but I like doing it and like put it off to the last minute, and then we don't have food in our house, right? So I'm like, it's worked because we've just been adults this whole time. But again, like now that I have kids, like I can't just wing it. So what I have found to be helpful is like Saturday night, I can think through, okay, like what are like 3 meals that I plan to make in the week? Because likely there's going to be leftovers happening, and there may even be like 1 or 2 takeout nights. And so I try to think through, okay, like just commit to 3 things, 3 meals, and order groceries. Although I am clear, like ordering groceries, I still like to pick out like my produce and stuff. So I probably like ordering, so I'm an Amazon Prime member, and if you order groceries over $35 is your total, it's free delivery, and you like pick your time slot that it comes. So if you do it on Saturday night, I can do it to be delivered the following morning. I could practically still be in my PJs by the time it's on my doorstep. It's contactless, so it's perfect because it just removes like the effort of me needing to do that. And then I can find a shorter time throughout the week to maybe go in and grab, maybe 20% of my grocery list, which is just the produce or things like I need to see in person to be able to pick out. So I found that to be very helpful because like if I have the food, that's the first step, right? Like obtaining the food, getting the goods, okay, and making sure they're in the house. So yeah, what about you guys?
I use Instacart. I am like religious. It helps with budget. You're not going in there, trying to find what new junk you want. So it helps with diet, budget. You can look back and see the items that you keep purchasing. So you know what you need essentially. And that definitely helps with like meal prep if you're prepping. So for sure.
That's the way to go. That's the move.
Same. Yep. Same here. So it's, for me, it has also been like a religious type thing, Joia. That is every week how I get my groceries. And I think it used to be like here and there. I might have done it before COVID, but since then it's been religiously every week. That's how I get my groceries. And like you said, so for me, I do Walmart and I do Instacart through Publix sometimes. I do like my main bulk of groceries at Walmart, and then they get you a favorites list. Everything that you ordered before is there every time. So it's just like, okay, click, 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 click. Do we need this? Not today. Click, 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 or not this week. And then you have your list set. You roll up, you pick up your groceries, they put them in your trunk, you roll out, and you're set. So yeah, like you said, Leah, that's like the first battle, the first step in this battle of grocery or meal prep or meals throughout the week. So yeah, that's a big one
for sure.
I don't even go in the store, like 20%, nah. So, but I feel you though, like produce that was the big drawback for me when I first started doing it. I was like, but are they gonna pick the produce that I want? And no, they don't. But for me, I'm just like, I take the L and I'm like, it saved me however much time. And, grocery shopping is done for the week.
I had someone take half of my groceries one time, y'all.
Oh,
like from your doorstep?
Half of them. Like not put the rest of them on the doorstep. Like just dip and stop answering my text messages. Like, bro, wait, bro, what? I need the rest of my groceries. No, they're gone. They were gone. And then Instacart tried to, contact them. They're like, we're just going to refund you. We can't reach them. Like,
what?
Yeah.
You must have something good in there.
Right. No. Definitely pros and cons.
I mean, I feel like we're forgetting, like, we have husbands. Like, I remember I almost had a breakdown in the grocery store in Meyer. We have Meyer in Michigan. I had Amela, had Ani. I was pregnant with Ayla, very pregnant, and just like overwhelmed, exhausted, pushing them in the cart with a cart full of food. And I told him I can't do this anymore. Like, and we're not about to pay for groceries to be purchased for us or delivered to us or whatever. So he started doing it, which has been a really big blessing. So he works it in. And I mean, I can go if we need some quick stuff, but he gets the groceries, praise God. So
bless your heart.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Y'all better put these husbands to work.
Well, I will say with Walmart though, it's free. If it wasn't free at Walmart, we wouldn't be doing it. It's free.
I'm pretty sure they upcharge for Instacart though.
Instacart does upcharge.
I heard that on the radio. I heard about that on the radio, that Instacart upcharges ridiculously. But I know it works for you.
On the website.
Yeah.
They have to disclose that.
So I have an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old. Finding things that are more versatile, you know what I mean? Like sweet potato. Everybody likes sweet potato. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just bake a few, or like I'll bake 6 at the beginning of the week and just chop it up after that. And it's like, okay, you like yours a little softer. You like yours, in cubes, whatever. Like everybody happy, sweet potato. Okay.
Yeah.
And also rice cakes. If you're doing rice, there are other kind of cakes, but rice cakes with peanut butter and like fruit on it. I have not had that turned down yet.
That's a good healthy snack. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds too healthy. I would catch that thrown back in my face. Like, like, what is this?
Yeah.
How to disguise these healthy things so they look like they look like something yummy and scrumptious. They look like something bad,
like colorful.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So my goal is always, and I think this was even before kids, but even more so with kids, my goal has always been, okay, cook at the beginning of the week and then freeze. Like cook a bunch of stuff, cook a bunch of meals that have in your mind, these are the meals I'm going to do throughout the week. And let me go ahead and bake my casserole. Let me go ahead and make my rice, my pot of beans, my whatever that we're going to use throughout the week. And then have it done and then freeze it. Now be realistic, because I'm not going to be up on my feet cooking 10 meals on a Sunday, and you want to spend time with your family and you're already exhausted. So, if you could cook like 1 or 2 things in large quantity that you can use throughout the week, and just freeze it. And then when mealtime comes, when you're stumped, like, oh man, what are we gonna eat tonight? I got this pot of beans in the freezer. Let me pull that out. And beans, you can make anything from beans. So just have it to go throughout the week.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and like
sometimes I'll do like pancakes on a Sunday and I'll make extra so I can freeze those. So it's easy to, pull out during the week because I won't have time to do it. I can use that time on Sunday to just create more. And then the other thing that I've heard, and I haven't, to be completely transparent, haven't done this, but I think it's an excellent idea, is kind of like assign each day a like theme, if you will. So like Monday's pasta, Tuesdays, like a rice dish, or, and so it's almost like you assign each day something. So it takes the thought out of it. You can switch up overall flavors for what's seasonal, but I find that to be really easy to consider how that could just seamlessly blend into your schedule, because then you're able to just not have to recreate the wheel each week. Of course you can get creative, but like needing to eat dinner is the inevitable, right? Like needing to eat breakfast is going to happen regardless if you're prepared or not. So I think that is a really neat idea, to just remove the bulk of the initial thought, and just make it easier for you and everyone else, because everyone knows what to expect as well. Are there any other tips that you feel have really been like game changers, that maybe you were, put on later in your motherhood journey, and you're just like, man, this is something that changed the game for me. I want you to know this much sooner than I did.
I have an issue with just getting stuck, like in a rut or in a routine. And what happens with me, because, kids are constantly, they're growing, they're changing, they're entering new phases and stages. And so their routines are constantly changing. Their schedules are constantly changing. So I may get comfortable in a routine and be like, oh, whew, we survived this one. Like this schedule is working for us. And then, they enter a new stage and it's like, why is the schedule not working? What's going on? Why am I so disorganized these days? And then my husband may say something, or I may read something, or I'll just stop and think for a moment and be like, oh, they're in a new stage of life right now. We need to switch it up. We need to adjust accordingly. So I think just remembering that there is going to be constant change, and not getting so settled in and so comfortable with whatever the schedule is that you have, or whatever the routine is right now, and just remembering to be flexible. And sometimes for me, all it takes is for me to hear someone else say it, and I'm like, oh, that's right, that makes sense. So, just be flexible, be aware of the changes that are happening with your children. And I mean, we see it in them physically, we see it in them developmentally and emotionally, that type of thing. But then remember, with these changes, you also have to make some adjustments yourself, and things need to shift a little bit in order to adjust for where they are in the development. So
thanks for that, Erinn.
For language development, really quickly, narrate everything you're doing to your child, what they're doing, what is happening around them, and put emphasis on the beginning and ending consonant, but start with the beginning consonant, and really like emphasize it. That can help them develop and accelerate language growth and development. So more later on that.
Nice.
Having a whole episode I could do.
Yes.
But her kids are living proof, because they speak really well for their ages, well beyond their ages. So that's something I'm learning through her to do with mine. But then also, when you have so many older siblings, you hear words all the time.
Oh yeah.
So there, we actually need some quiet. So the one thing I will say, the one tip, and I don't know if it's really a great tip, but I use timers, like timers for everything, timers for lunchtime, timers for bedtime. Like if you want me to tuck you in, you got 6 minutes. You better use the potty, brush your teeth, change your clothes, get in bed. If you miss your 6 minutes, I'm so sorry. Tomorrow night we'll try again, right? Or lunchtime, you have 5 minutes left, girls. You better stop talking and eat, right? So just time limits, especially because my kids are homeschooled. We could have a flex schedule, but if you were in school, you wouldn't be able to just chill all day at the lunch table. You got to eat and go back to class. So just setting a timer, letting them know I'm setting it, letting them know how much time they have. And I found that helpful for helping sort of keep the structure of the day and for also helping with behavioral issues.
That's really good. Like a transition prompt or whatever.
Yes. Because a lot of tantrums stem from like we just abruptly try to make changes on them.
Preach.
Like, what?
Preach.
And the younger they are, the longer they need.
Yes. Yeah. That's an excellent one. Yeah.
It has been such a fun episode. I think we have been able to not only learn from each other, but definitely provide our listeners with an opportunity to like immediately implement some of these tips and tricks, within the following week, really. So I thank you for sharing them with me and with our listeners. And I will see y'all on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Thanks for listening to Growing in Motherhood. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps other mamas just like you find us too. We also encourage you to share with a friend and find us on Instagram at Growing in Motherhood Podcast to continue to grow with us. Until next time, keep on growing.
Growing in motherhood.